Welcome back to the Canadian Virtual Financial Advisors Conference. My name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. Joined right now live with Gord Stockman. Gordon is president, Efficient Wealth Management and Nextgen Financial Planning. Well, welcome, Gord. How are you?
Thanks, Marc. I'm fine. Tired after tax season, but fine.
Well, let's talk. Maybe we start a little bit with tax returns. You do a number of tax returns. Well, actually, let's start with just about you. Why don't you talk a little bit about yourself, what you do, the kind of work that you do, and then we'll talk about tax returns.
Yeah, well, I just passed my 25th year in the business. So I started as financial planner in 1996. Like almost everybody in the industry that calls themselves a planner as opposed to advisor, I started in the mutual fund business. And I really, I was in the commission business just like everybody else, but I was reluctant from day one, seeing that wasn't necessarily the best way to give advice. And I think coming out of the chartered accounting world, I think, the idea of accepting a commission was kind of, against my upbringing. But in 1996, if you wanted financial planning done, that's where you got it. And so to learn the craft, I basically had to get into the commission business. And then I worked 9 years to get out of it. So, but at that time, you couldn't convince people to pay for a financial plan because, everybody was giving it away free with the mutual fund business. So it was very difficult to make it into a standalone, something somebody needed all by itself, without being tied to a product. And so through that 9 years that I was in the mutual fund business, I thought there was a better way to do this. So I set out to develop a new company. And the new company was really driven by the fact that in the late 90s, everybody was paying way too much for mutual fund advice. And MERs were really much higher than they are today in most cases. And people weren't getting the financial planning because if you're already collected the commission and you're not being paid specifically for doing the plan, why give good planning? And even at that time, almost all planning done, even by the company I was with, was really about being sales orientated, trying to justify why somebody should buy something. So there had to be a better way, and so we started doing fee-only planning 15 years ago, actually 16 years ago now. So it's been a long time, and I'm in a little area that is, growing quite quickly now, but we don't have most people don't have the historical background that we do in terms of having done this for so long. But we still are tied to product a little bit because back in our startup phase, we could not find a way to give our people a lower product cost without actually creating our own system. Sending them back to their mutual fund dealer or their broker didn't work. Nobody would lower the prices. So we've actually been one of the longest providers of ETF portfolios in the country, having started doing that in 2004. So, my background is pretty deep in both fee-only planning and ETF portfolios. And that's really where most of my ideas in the industry come from, I guess. So.
Terrific. And you're located in Port Credit, Mississauga, Ontario?
Yeah, but anymore, we're located across the country. That's the one thing COVID has hammered home. I already had clients all over North America prior to COVID, but it certainly has now made clients much more comfortable with the idea of meeting only in video. So we've had clients in Mexico, and I've got clients in British Columbia and California and Arizona and all over. So we've always used video to some extent, but it certainly is a big change this year, and it's pushed the industry ahead quickly into that area.
And how are you marketing yourself? Like, how do you differentiate? How do you suggest another financial advisor might differentiate themselves from somebody else?
Well, I'd like to. I'm always worried whether I should give my secret away, because we don't have to market anymore. We literally are in a situation where people are calling us more than we can deal with right now. And in fact, we've been in a growth phase with hiring and adding people and things like that because of this. And but I have to tell you, it's really because the word has got out that people want to have somebody they can trust, and they don't know how to form that trust. And so I've worked very hard at becoming a fiduciary financial planner. And that word fiduciary is an important word. And only because it doesn't make us any better, but because we were already completely concerned with our clients' well-being before. But it's allowed the client to know that there's a legal basis for trusting us. They know that that we're bound legally to provide for their interests first. And it was under great discussion in the United States for the last few years about fiduciary, because it was kind of this ongoing push from the brokerage industry against the investment advisor industry down there. The investment advisors have always been fiduciaries, and the brokers want to become fiduciaries. And it's created, discussions about laws and new rules and everything else. And that word is suddenly being heard. And as you know, as Canadians, we listen to what's going on in the US. It influences us a lot. So there is a lot of people out there now looking for fiduciary financial planning. And it doesn't exist in this country except for a few of us. And when you're only a couple out of 90,000, if you can just keep your name out there, there's a lot of clients. So it's really the business is coming to us because of the way we formed our business. And I think that's an important lesson to anybody out there trying to build a business. Do the right thing and make sure that it's clear that you can be trusted, and you will have clients coming to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point. Well, maybe without revealing any secrets, maybe some things that you've done wrong, maybe that you've regretted, and maybe you would have done them differently now that you have 25 years of experience.
Well, I've done nothing wrong, so that's an easy answer. We got in this situation of sitting back and waiting for our business by improving our business, because I actually tried everything in terms of advertising. And I truly believe that you can't advertise yourself to brand recognition unless you have a lot of money and a very large potential client pool. So we tried newspaper advertisement, we tried radio, we tried TV. I used to even run ads on the old TV Times or TV Guide on the cable stations. I mean, I've tried it all. And I've written for a local newspaper for, probably 70 articles over the years. And even those articles, which come attached to an ad in every newspaper, produces very little immediate response. You cannot advertise yourself to business. It also is limiting to try to get out and meet people. You can only talk to so many people. And the reality is not every person you talk to is suitable client for you. So you really need to spread the word. And this is, the business builds on referrals, but interesting enough, that hasn't been the biggest push for our business, because we found that a lot of our clients aren't really wanting to talk about finances with their friends and their relatives. So referrals is not as easy as it's made out to be in the industry, because your client really don't want to go home and go to a party and talk about their finances. So you don't always come up in conversation as much as you should, except for a certain number of people within your client base, and then you just have to nurture them. But you really just need to be out doing good things and bumping into people that remember you and talking, living what you talk about. And you do that for a while. After about 4 or 5 years, clients will seek you out. They'll hear about you. It's not just a referral business. They can hear about you in many places. Maintain good social networks, maintain good websites, and make sure that you're actually following what people are looking for at any time. So keep your business moving towards the market, which is why we, are now advertising all the time that we're fiduciaries, because that is actually where the business is coming from. So.
Mm-hmm. That's good. If you're just joining, my name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. I'm joined by Gord Stockman, president, Efficient Wealth Management and Nextgen Financial Planning. Thanks for taking the time, Gord, to share your experience. So there's a lot of talk about how financial planning has changed. What do you see, and how have you experienced those changes yourself?
Well, like I said at the top, I've been doing this for 25 years, and one of the things that's most interesting to me is I actually still use the same software and do my financial planning in the same way, which is striking in that everybody says it's changing. Well, clients have always needed good financial plans. What has changed is the willingness for more people to pay for it. It's also changed because there's more advisors that want to move in that direction because they've lost their other business, which was their big activity. So what has really changed is not the financial planning itself, fundamentally, and I can talk about the changes that are taking place now, but over that 25 years, a lot of this was the environment around us changing. The 25 years ago, like I said, the reason you did financial planning was to assist in your investment sales. That grew into the reason you were doing financial planning was to assist in your investment management. And, that was to keep the revenues coming in through investment management work. And it's only recently that there's a substantial number of clients that are reaching out and saying, all I want is a financial plan. I'm more concerned about my planning than I am about my investments. So you have to go back and say, what does this planning entail? What are we doing? Well, all we're talking about is good tax situations. Our goal with our clients is to make sure that they have the lowest lifetime tax bill as possible. It's pretty fundamental. Part of that is making sure that you use all the things the government has put in front of you for encouraging you to save. And maybe I understood this early because I've always believed that the Tax Act wasn't about raising revenues for the government. It's actually what we call an instrument of social policy. The Taxation Act is really intended to get you to do what the government wants you to do. So, and you can give in to that, or you can fight it, I guess. But RSPs and RESPs and all those things are just ways that the government is trying to get you to do something for yourself because they'd rather you did it for yourself than them do it for you. So you have to understand all these things. And and as these things grow and they get added, you get disability plans and the rules change. You have to stay on top of this because the individual clients cannot. So I won't say taxation's the big point here, but certainly a lot of the fundamental account that you might set up for a client or help a client understand is really based on this instrument of social policy called the Tax Act. So you need to really pay attention to that. And funny enough, in the financial advising world, it's only been recently that they actually made it a duty for brokers to consider taxation when they were making decisions. And over the years, there wasn't enough knowledge in that area. And I think that knowledge applies all the way to people that have very little money, to people that have a ton of money. And we do a lot of work with clients that are collecting, GIS supplements on top of their OAS. Because if you can save them $100 a month, that's a lot of money for somebody that doesn't have a lot of money. So you need to pay attention. And actually, I could relate this to some of the advisors out there that aren't involved in taxation. I learned a long time ago, like I said, 25 years, that people change their advisors much quicker than they change their tax advisors, or their tax preparers. So actually helping them with their taxation will endear your clients to you even more. So it is an important part of what we do. But over time, I think as the world gets more complicated, we're seeing people wanting to get assistance from knowledgeable people. And I think you're seeing this in all areas. It's more likely for somebody to go see a therapist now for all kinds of things. You may have some challenges in your marriage, challenges in your life, challenges physically. We're more likely to seek out assistance to be helped with these things because we're busy and the world is getting complicated. And I think that's really what's happening in financial planning. People are suddenly realizing that there's much more to this than they can learn themselves, and so they seek out some advice. And so it gives us a business. And it's not about the investments. And I think that's what, is my message always. If you're in the financial planning business, forget about the investments. This is about people. And investments is just something they have, just like they have a car. And so you certainly need to help them with their overall life. And some of these things that, they need to get at work, you'll tell them, why don't you buy a car and get off the bus? It'll be the same as, why don't you buy an investment instead of leaving it in your checking account? It's about them. It's not about the money. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that people are catching on. But as far as financial planning goes, it's the environment that's changing, not the financial planning. And that's what I think needs to change in the future. So, because it's the environment that's been changing so first. Now we need to change financial planning.
Right. Great advice. Lots of good content there. Number 8 on my list of earlier on that I mentioned, top 10 characteristics of successful financial advisors, was taking a holistic view of their clients' finances. And obviously you're doing that, not just the investment side, but all aspects of it. And saying that, you do also their tax returns. So, and I just wanted to say real quick, if anybody has any questions for Gord, you're welcome to throw them in the event or the stage chat, and I'll make sure to ask Gord. But Gord, why don't you talk about that side of it in terms of taxes and tax preparation, and how did that come first and you added the financial advising, or did financial advisor and then you thought, hey, it'd be great to do tax returns? Like, how did that all play out?
Yeah, well, I got into financial planning. I'd already been doing tax returns, as a hobby for a few people, but when I got into financial planning, I didn't expect to be doing tax returns, for sure. In fact, we didn't do them for our clients in the early couple of years. But we quickly realized that all the things I wanted to talk about the clients had a tax component to them. Why do you put money in your RSPs? To get a refund on your taxes, I mean, these things added up. And what I found out quickly was I needed to look at their tax return. I used to actually promise seniors in the first 5 years of my business, when I was trying to drum up business, I used to make a promise to my anybody that was a senior and say, look, I guarantee you I'll save you some money on your taxes. Okay? If I won't, I'll pay you for my time. Okay? Because it was easy. Almost everybody in the country was filling up their RSPs with equities, because that was long-term, and their GICs were in their open account being taxed on a regular basis. So just reallocating their investments into more tax-efficient holdings, making the tax accounts correct, would save everybody money. And it saved them money in the short term and in the long term. And that was easy. It still exists today. Even today, after 25 years, if you go into one of the branch environments and you have both an RSP and a non-registered, and there's a good chance that their program is setting your RSP at the exact same allocation as your non-registered. So you've got tax inefficient stuff in your non-registered accounts and tax inefficient stuff in your registered accounts. Just stopping and thinking and doing it offline saves the client money. And so there is, opportunity that's presented by these situations where people are just trying to apply the same rules to everybody. Nobody is the same. And so if you think about it and you accept the idea that this is about the people, not about the money, you'll quickly realize that every individual has a different situation and a different need. And you'll pay attention to no rules of thumb and no math ideas for everybody. And it'll change a lot. And there's a lot of that's driven by taxation. But to do good financial planning, we learned early on that I had to look at their tax return. I had to understand the situation that they were in. And we found it was just as fast to do the tax return as for me to pour over it. And that's how we got into the tax preparation business. And it fit what we were trying to do quite well because, I talk about we're in the business of helping people, but it's not about finances either. We tell everybody that comes to our company that the only thing I train my people on is that our job is only to remove your worry. And if you want to know a big worry for most people, it's CRA. And if you're actually acting as their some type of assisting them in dealing with CRA, you've already won a friend. And so if you really at your heart say that your job is to take care of people and help them, don't worry, you'll get into the tax business for most clients. Simple as that.
Excellent. Great advice. We still have a few more minutes. If you have any questions for Gord, feel free to put them in the event or in the stage chat. So there's a number of challenges that financial advisors have, managing client expectations, staying in touch, managing information, emotional engagement, all kinds of different things. What do you say? What would you say is your biggest challenge?
Well, certainly getting out to see clients right now. It's always hard to focus on the need to keep in touch with your clients, even when you think you just spoke to them. And again, I think every client's got a little bit of different time frame that they're working in terms of when they need to be talked to. But most clients really value knowing that you're on top of their affairs, because it's easy to get lost in the shuffle here. We don't see them that often per year. We only see them 2 or 3 times. So we've always made it our job to make sure that everybody is contacted personally on a standard rotation, whether it be every 3 months, every 4 months, or every 6 months, is whatever is appropriate to the client, because some clients can't afford to talk to us 4 times a year. Okay. But we make it clear that you don't worry about us not talking to you. We're going to call you. Now, if you choose not to speak to us, that's fine, but we're going to call you because that's what you deserve. And so you need to always be approaching your clients on the idea that they are valuable to you and you're valuable to them. And so you need to touch base with them, not because the market went down, not because we don't even call our clients when the market goes down. We call our clients because we told them that we call them 4 months, every 4 months, and it's 4 months. And certainly they can call us in between, and we might call them in between, but we're not going to miss that promise to them. And I think it keeps you regularly in touch. That you've met their expectation. You told them you'd meet 4 times a year, 3 times a year, 2 times a year, whatever it is, and you've done it. So everything that you can do to make sure that they know you keep your word will ease your job tremendously. So it's these are people, and at the end of the day, all they need to know is that you care about them. And I think if you do that, you'll have more clients than you know what to do with.
That's good. So just a couple minutes left here. Future of financial planning next year, 2 years, 5 years, and beyond. What's your?
Well, I think we got to get better at this. I said that we're still doing it the same way 25 years ago. I wasn't saying that was a good thing. The reality is that it takes a lot of time to go through people's affairs. So there's two big issues that I'm working on all the time right now. First of all, data gathering is a real problem. So we need to be very, very good about data aggregation, but not just the kind that's financial from my bank account. I've got to be able to bring data in from my clients, get to know my clients, understand my clients, feel my clients in a easier manner than today. The other thing is there's a lot of holes in where people can get advice in the business. The example I use all the time is just think how many consumers are out there that have been pushed into group RSP plans or defined contribution plans and have nobody to ask, which fund should I pick? Yet they've been given the responsibility to make sure that they build a good retirement. And there's nobody out there that can help them because the industry channels of insurance and fee only and high net worth, none of them serve these people. So I think what we're going to see is greater access by consumers to good planning, not just investments. And that's where the change needs to take place. For the last 30 years, the cost of investing has gone down tremendously. The cost of advice has gone up. And the way advice is delivered is not really all that different than it was before. So we need to find a way to deliver advice cheaper, instantly, and thoroughly. And that's going to take a big change in the industry. And so we're working towards that. That's what my business is, believe it or not, I've been in it 25 years, but it's been changing constantly. And I think that's good. Nextgen, which you referenced, is a one of an only company in Canada. And we just opened it up last year. We're not standing still, even though we're just a small little shop, because we need to be advancing the art and skill of financial planning. And so we've got to get better at it. We've got to bring the tools to bear. We've got to make it more accessible and more instant, and more trustworthy too, I guess. So.
Cool. Talk about Nextgen real quick. Anything you want to promote there, or anything within
Well, Nextgen is actually it's regulated as a traditional portfolio manager that does no portfolio management. It was formed for the sole purpose of delivering advice and using the portfolio management platform to do so. So it is one of the only companies in the country that actually is set up to just provide investment advice legally. Now, we don't really want to do investment advice. We want to provide fiduciary financial planning. We're also fiduciary because we're a portfolio manager. But the idea is that if you're going to do good financial planning, you have to be able to help your clients make decisions on their group plans, on their. So we don't need to invest their money. We just need to be knowledgeable about their money and be able to talk to them about their money. And unfortunately, the security business is so highly regulated, you cannot have a thorough discussion with your client about their investments unless you're registered to sell them something or be a portfolio manager. So we chose to become portfolio managers only for the purpose of being able to talk to people about their investments while they're doing their financial planning. And I would encourage all financial planners to join with us. We have an affiliate program. That's the whole purpose. I didn't need Nextgen. I have a very successful business with Efficient Wealth. We're growing like mad. Nextgen is about empowering the next generation of CFPs in being able to provide everything a client needs. And it's only then that we can make an impact about those 90,000 advisors that are still concentrating on the investments. So we're trying to build a platform that will allow people to really concentrate on their clients, do what's best for their clients, but also give them a whole offering. And we don't have to manage their money. And it's a new idea because everybody believes it's the investments that make your revenues. So we have to debunk that theory. And I can tell you, financial planning pays without doing the investments. So.
Right. Well, terrific. Well, thanks very much, Gord, for being on here at the Canadian Virtual Financial Advisors Conference. Great points, well thought through, and obviously with your tremendous experience in the industry, you got lots of knowledge. Gord Stockman is President, Efficient Wealth Management and Nextgen Financial Planning. Coming up shortly, starting right now, Anne Beaulieu, founder of Femme Sauvage Collective, Inc., is speaking about EQ Blueprint for Closing Sales. And Kwiku is also founder of the Machine Learning by Doing platform, independent AI economist. We'll be talking about AI and financial advising in Canada. So don't miss that. And then I'll be back in half an hour here on the main stage with the panel of financial advisors as well. So about an hour left in the event. Hopefully you've had a chance to check out the expo area as well, and the networking, and lots of time left to do a lot of stuff. So thanks very much for being on, Gord, and nice to see you again. And we will talk soon.
Yeah, well, thanks very much for the opportunity to talk about what I love.
No problem at all. Thanks, Gord.
Thanks.